Hi, welcome to Perspectives Northeast. I'm your host Danny, joined by John.
Hello.
And Yayan.
Hello everyone.
So today we're going to be talking about healthcare in the UK. So everyone, what is your experiences, opinions with healthcare?
Well, lately, been getting the vaccinations, of course.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Are you both vaccinated?
Yeah, double jabbed.
Yeah.
Double jabbed.
I am double jabbed.
I've got no clue what's going on my booster.
Gonna go get my booster soon.
Yeah, I think I need to sort out my booster. I think you can just walk in and get them.
Yeah.
It's a 3-month. Well, they're changing it. See, I think the government sort of like, the handling of the pandemic has been shambolic.
Yeah.
Let's not beat around the bush here.
Yeah.
But I think the communication and like the press conferences, utter crap.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Just give it to me straight. None of this. Well, I'm not going to cancel Christmas, and then you cancel it. Well, you shouldn't meet up, but you should. And then I'd like to have a discussion about this party as well. I don't know if you saw the party down in the street.
We'll get to that.
What a bunch of wankers this government is.
Wait, what a bunch of...
Yeah, sorry.
This podcast.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I'll calm down a bit.
It's a very intense start to a podcast.
But yeah, I usually get a flu jab every year.
I
get my asthma inhalers from the NHS as well.
Oh, you're asthmatic?
Yeah, yeah.
So you've probably got a better perspective than, you... Any healthcare issues, John?
Tons of healthcare issues.
Health issues? Any that would impact...
Well, no health issues as such. I just feel like I'm a wreck mentally, physically.
Yeah. So we've got... So what's
my perspective of the NHS is a little bit different, I should add, because I'm in Wales.
Yeah.
I'm Welsh and my GP's in Wales, so we get like free prescriptions for some things that you guys don't.
You don't get we don't get free prescriptions.
No.
I used to... Well, obviously, I mean, there's no visual element to this, but you two can attest I'm very skinny.
Yeah.
So I used to have to take these drinks that they feed to old people to like help them gain weight.
Yeah.
£9 bleeding pound
£9 a
prescription.
Yeah, that should really be free. If you were in Wales, that probably would be free of charge.
I mean, I'm probably outside of this conversation because I've never really had health issues.
If you go to Scotland as well, it's free in Scotland. Good old Nicklaus sturgeon.
Yeah. So, this was your subject, John. You chose healthcare. So
did I? Oh, I did.
Yeah. So it says, as your second point, a comprehensive health service designed to secure improvement in the physical and mental health of people in England and Wales.
So that's from. I've got it. Well, again.
Yeah, you've got it right in front of you.
I wish it was. I've got a book here. I'm holding up a book. You can probably hear it.
What's the title of it?
Aneurin Bevan. The Political Life of Aneurin Bevan, found in NHS.
Yeah.
And it's from page 133. Yeah. Not that anyone's going to actually go up and look this stuff up.
We might do, you never know.
Well, one person will and probably go, oh, it's on the wrong page.
Yeah.
But that is how Aneurin Bevan saw the NHS.
Yeah.
So, my belief is that's what the NHS should be.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, the NHS is not free. It's free at the point of use. I don't pay taxes. But I don't mind paying taxes. If it means a homeless person can get cancer treatment or whatever. Yeah. Homelessness is... Anyway, we're not talking about homelessness.
Yeah, we'll get onto that in the next podcast.
Yeah. Well, it definitely makes sense free at the point of use because, if you don't have money for healthcare, you shouldn't just be left to die like some parts of the States.
Call me crazy.
Crazy.
But I think that the size of your wallet should not determine the quality of the care. And I worry that it's very much where Boris Johnson... let's go back to... Oh, my Christ. Right, let's go back to Thatcher.
Yeah, we'll go to Thatcher.
Thatcher wanted rid of the NHS.
Yeah.
Like she wanted rid of anything that so much as gives an ounce of hope to the poor.
Yeah.
But she couldn't touch it. Yeah. Because that's a vote loser, getting rid of the NHS. But she did some incremental changes. So she changed the way it was governed. So I tried to read this, I didn't really understand it. She had changed it from a method of sort of like leadership and government or whatever. It was very much consensus orientated. Yeah. To very much one person at the top making the decisions. Now that's interesting to me because without Thatcher, there's no PFIs under Blair. Yeah. There's no, there's no David Cameron. Right. There's no him trying to get rid of the NHS. Yeah. So I think you could talk about David Cameron and the NHS, but I think the two most important people in terms of the NHS are Aneurin Bevan / Kevin Attlee and Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah. So to go back to your point,
sorry, I think my point got lost.
So the size of a person's wallet should not impact their healthcare. I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit. I think that healthcare should be free as a baseline, but with the state of the NHS, speaking from personal experience, my aunt had to get knee surgery very urgently, and she chose to go private. And she isn't rich by any standard, but she could afford it. So should that not be an option for people?
I'm going to play devil's advocate here. Right, imagine, right, you could only go private.
Yeah.
You said your aunt is not rich.
Yeah.
Let's, for instance, imagine it's something more serious than a knee replacement. What do you do then?
Exactly. But
I've said this before, but my worry is, there's a health and social care bill going through, I think it's in the House of Lords right now. I've got some statistics here. Healthcare these are just rough estimates from 2020.
Yeah.
COVID, obviously, these are probably going to change. But 269 billion, which is about 12.8% of GDP, was spent on healthcare nationally.
Yeah.
That's roughly 19.7% of total expenditure.
Yeah.
In the northeast, 25% of public expenditure went towards healthcare.
Yeah.
Now, okay, granted, some of this is more administrative,
Yeah.
But to me, that really speaks to the fundamental flaws of northeast.
Yeah.
About how we spend more than the national average on healthcare. But yeah. I imagine we've got pretty poor health outcomes.
Do we need it? Are there lots of sort of health problems that are endemic to the northeast?
Well, I feel is with the older generations, with the miners, with factory workers, they'll have a lot of
long
problems, long
issues.
I come from a long family of miners. Not anymore since Thatcher closed them down, but I'd estimate, because most of them passed away unrelated from or we don't speak to them anymore. I'd estimate they would have had lung issues from the coal.
Well, I can't really join into this discussion because my family, long history of public sector.
What about you, Ryan?
Well, I'm not from the northeast.
Yeah,
but
still, I'm not. I'm from just the north.
Yeah, so
I'm local.
In Wales, we have a massive problem with obesity. 1 in 3 people are obese. I don't know what the statistic is up here, but that's definitely a massive drain on the healthcare system.
Would be about the same. 1 in 3, I should guess.
Yeah, and is that something that, or healthcare issues in general, like smoking and fast food? Is that something that the NHS should be getting more involved in, sort of encouraging people to live those healthy lifestyles? I think it should, but it's hard to say in what way it should do that and how it can do it effectively.
Obesity, you can probably see as an Americanism. We've sort of taken it from them. McDonald's, all these restaurants that come in. McDonald's, Burger King.
Yeah, it's quite a lot of the time it's cheap and convenient to eat fast food.
Yeah.
And I think it's about education. I think it's about forming good habits.
I don't think it's just America though. You went to Greggs this morning.
I went to Greggs, but Greggs isn't. I wouldn't say Greggs is.
But it was convenient and relatively cheap.
It's convenient, relatively cheap. But Greggs, I wouldn't say Greggs is a big contributor. Greggs is a bakery.
I go to Greggs pretty much every day.
Yeah, it's cheap and convenient, but you want to go to a place that's got sort of fresher ingredients. Sort of not to plug my place of work, but Five Guys do mainly all fresh ingredients. Yeah, all fresh ingredients.
I don't care about freshness. I just want the calories in my mouth.
Exactly. You don't care about freshness.
If it was mouldy,
freshness is.
If it was mouldy, I'd take
Five Guys is also very expensive, though.
Yeah, exactly.
So that goes back to the point about eating.
We do a lot of prep in the morning.
Yeah, eating fresher food, healthier food can often be quite expensive.
Yeah, because if you want,
depends on where you are as well. Some things are seasonal, and some things are grown in different places.
So my mind's just totally gone to something else.
Yeah, but so McDonald's. Have you two seen McDonald's burgers that last forever?
I don't. Oh yeah. I've seen the videos of those. They don't mould.
Yeah, they don't mould. There's one in, I think is it Norway? Iceland, where they've got a burger in a museum.
The first Big Mac brought in, the first or last Big Mac brought in Iceland.
Oh my God, that's brilliant.
Not rotted at all.
What, do they not have McDonald's in Iceland?
It failed.
But there's stories of they've had to put it in a box now because people kept eating the fries.
Oh my God.
And they were perfectly fine afterwards because the fries last forever.
That's scary.
They ate them and people said that they were fine. They just tasted like McDonald's fries.
I'm just thinking, sorry, let's talk about ice. I don't know how, but Iceland's maybe think about the tier systems.
Yeah.
I don't know. Just
ice coming down in tiers, yeah.
The way my brain works, it's a mystery. What do we all think of the tier systems?
Well, they didn't work, did they?
No.
I mean,
don't feel like...
I think you should have one rule across the board.
I don't feel like any COVID systems really worked
I think
well.
I think the tier systems do good in practice. But then if you look, it just so happened that all the Tauris, their constituencies, tier 1, shafted the North again.
Yeah.
Obviously, similar to transport.
I mean,
but in was it Manchester that was in tier 3?
Manchester in tier 3.
We were in
Liverpool.
tier 2. Yeah, I think we were in tier 2.
But I mean,
and the tiers mean different things for us in Wales, and I presume it's the same in Scotland. So it's a bit weird if you're commuting into work from, say, Cardiff to Bristol, then you have to deal with 2 different sets of rules.
I mean, speaking from personal experience, you two started last year, right?
Yes.
Did you live Did you live near
university?
campus? Started university last year.
I started here before.
Yeah. Did you live in?
No, I don't live on campus.
I live relatively on campus, and
how many times do you go to campus?
Every couple of days, but I didn't really go last year.
I went twice last year.
I went to
my
campus
first
last year. I went once.
I went once as well,
Yeah,
but I turned up regularly the year before.
But speaking about lockdowns and such, they just released this from lockdown. Just started us. People started going out in Newcastle because we are Northumbria, one of the first universities to open. So me and my flat went out one time, and then about a few days later, Boris announced a trial lockdown of sorts, a trial curfew in Newcastle, because we'd start getting cases.
So the pubs closed at 10, was it?
Pubs started closing at 10, which arguably led to more people going back to flats, being stuck together.
Well, we've got
especially uni students, because that's
speaking from
what
experience. And I think there's a statute of limitations. We had a party in our flat, not planned. We didn't know it was going to happen. We just came back one night.
Allegedly, I wouldn't admit to that.
Allegedly, our flat.
There we go.
There was me and my flatmates came back from going to a pub. It closed at 10. We came back. There was about 50 people in our flat. Didn't plan it. Didn't know it. One of our flatmates just invited a bunch of people, and that sort of shows sort of the impact of closing pubs at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
So it was the Northeast was the first place to get
lockdown. Yeah. Well, it curfewed.
Well, we had a firebreak lockdown in Wales, but I wasn't there at the time. I think it was like 2 weeks before the England lockdown.
Circuit breaker, firebreaker.
Yeah. Well, I mean, looking at it, now that clubs close at what, 3 o'clock?
Yeah.
2 o'clock? There's never any afters, never any flat parties.
That is true.
We just go home, go to bed, because clubs close at a reasonable time. There's still clubs open at 4 or 5 o'clock.
Reasonable by whose standards?
Reasonable by some alcoholics.
Yeah. Speaking of parties, have you guys seen the news?
A little bit. I don't really keep up with healthcare news.
Oh, well, there's a story going around. There's a bit of a rumour that some people were having parties in Downing Street when they weren't meant to.
Yeah. It's not a rumour. It happened. Let's just lay all our...
We know it happened.
Put all our facts out there. It did happen.
Yeah.
They're not denying it, are they now? I think they were sort of...
They were denying it.
They were denying that rules were broken.
At first, it was like, no party.
Yeah.
Then it was like, well, there was a party, but it was, what was it? Wine and cheese and Secret Santa.
No rules were broken.
No rules were broken.
The gatherings weren't allowed.
There's no... Oh, was that before the lockdown?
No.
It was the 18th.
The trial, there was the trial run. It was already happening at that point.
It was before the lockdown. I think London was in tier 3, so gatherings weren't allowed.
The day after the party, Boris Johnson comes out, I'm afraid I'm going to cancel Christmas.
What was that last year?
He drives me up the wall. That man,
let's
really
talk
does.
about it is the festive season now. Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas.
Merry
Happy
Christmas,
holidays.
guys.
Happy Hanukkah.
Merry Christmas to our listeners.
Yeah. Or Happy Hanukkah, you know.
Is that Jewish, is it, Hanukkah?
Hanukkah is a Jewish holiday. What were your experiences at Christmas last year?
Well, I came out of lockdown up here.
Yeah.
Because when does the lockdown end?
It ended a week before Christmas-ish.
December something. I was really excited to go back to Cardiff because the pubs were open there because we had the circuit breaker lockdown.
Yeah.
But the day that I came back was the day that the pubs got closed again. So I was very gutted by that.
So how was your Christmas?
Oh, it was good. It was just with family. So yeah.
What about you, John? How was your Christmas in 2020?
This is going to sound rather sad. Christmas is normally quite a low-key, quiet affair.
Yeah.
So there was no difference.
I mean...
The only difference being, we normally have one of my mum's friends over because my mum's friends just got no family or anything.
Did you still have her over?
No.
No, exactly. It changed for you?
Well, there wasn't much of a difference. I mean, it was just the 4 of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would usually have people over.
Yeah.
Which we couldn't do, which is a bit unfortunate.
If I remember correctly, we still had the amount of people we normally have, just because it's quite a big house we go to, because it's sort of not technically family, but we've known them for long enough that they are family.
Family friends,
family friends, but they're my uncle and auntie. If they're watching, hi. But yeah, it's we went there. There was about 10 of us, including our dog. So not exactly the small groups they wanted, but we kept everything safe. We tested before.
Yeah, I think testing is very important for things like that.
Yeah, we tested because there's a few vulnerable people in our family.
Now that we're on the subject of, I'm assuming you're talking about COVID testing.
Yes. Not STD.
Pardon me. Let's talk about vaccinations, COVID cases, sort of like North East London.
Yeah.
I've got some statistics on here. These were yesterday, so they might be a bit more.
Yesterday, well,
they'll probably be a bit more accurate today.
I think it'll change that much.
Tuesday's statistics recording on the Wednesday.
Yeah.
If we just look at cases in Northumberland, I didn't know whether to do Northumberland or Newcastle. I'm indecisive. I decided to do both.
Well, they're the same, aren't they?
Yeah.
Northumberland and Newcastle. Oh, you mean in the figures?
Yes. Well, which one are you on
about?
There's
a 0.3 difference within the
I'm
figures.
talking about the cases.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I didn't see that.
358.5 cases per 100,000 in Northumberland.
Yeah. So, in Newcastle was
385.2 cases per 100,000 in Newcastle.
Newcastle's probably got the majority of the cases, if that's the statistic.
That makes sense, though, because it's a big city.
But I'm probably getting this wrong, because I don't really understand maths and statistics.
We're historians.
Northumberland,
that's what we're trying to do.
It's very sparsely populated, low population county.
Yeah.
So if that number is roughly the same as Newcastle, does that mean Northumberland's more infectious? If there's lower population, yet the figure's still that high?
If that is what that means, then yes, Northumberland would be a lot.
Well, people are still going to work, aren't they? So there's still going to be workplace transmission and things like that.
Yeah.
So to some extent, it doesn't really matter that they're in Northumberland and not the city centre in Newcastle.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think they should be advising people to work from home now, especially with the Omicron variant. You know, if you can work from home, you should try to.
So, Omicron variant, what do you guys think? Dangerous or good news? I take the opinion that it's a good thing. Because, well, looking at it in South Africa, it's not as deadly. Most people who have it in hospitals were found after.
It's
more
in hospital. My understanding of it is now I'm no
epidemiologist.
Yeah, that's it. Not I was going to say urologist, but
that's urine.
Yeah. But it's more infectious
and more vaccine resistant.
Good, but when you get ill,
you
don't get as badly ill.
So we should still be social distancing, wearing your masks, folks.
Getting your vaccine,
get your vaccines, folks. Get your boosters.
I think it's worse if anything, because it means the rate's going to go up, so the hospitalisation rate's going to go up, and that's just going to put more strain on the NHS, which around this time of year is dealing with massive flu outbreaks and people slipping on ice and all these other sorts of things.
With Storm, it's not Desmond. That was
we've had so many storms in the last couple of weeks.
Storms.
Jeez, that's storm every week.
What's the storm named?
Was it?
It's Bambra or something. Isn't
no, that was an old one.
Oh, that was one that was supposed to hit us today. But it seems to
it was Storm Barrow, wasn't it?
Storm Barrow. Yeah. So that will impact the healthcare system. That'll impact
everything.
All of our sort of
areas of expertise.
So transport will be heavily affected. Housing might be damaged. Not sure that'll be as big.
Yeah,
but healthcare.
Not. If your house blows over, then that's pretty unfortunate.
That's just proof of
But I think you're an exception if that happens.
Yeah. What about you, John? Any thoughts about how it will impact healthcare?
Sorry, what?
The storm. How will it impact healthcare?
The storm?
Yes. Storm Barrow or Barry.
Barra.
B-A-R-R-A.
Well, I think because of these people hit by trees.
Yeah.
I think they're beyond healthcare.
To
put it bluntly.
I mean, depends on the tree, really.
A big oak tree.
A big oak tree, yeah, you might. Well, depends where it hit you as well. If it hits you and you...
But you see these people, like my mum, someone at my mum's work, she was driving, and her car just blown off the...
Final Destination style,
just blown off the road. Yeah. Off. She broke, I don't know, an arm or a wrist or something. Yeah. So I think minor injuries, but all these minor injuries add up.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the cold weather definitely exacerbates other things as well. If you've got a cold or if you've got a fever, it being like 2 degrees outside, and if your home's not insulated properly, then you're at higher risk, especially if you're
I live
elderly or
in
vulnerable.
student housing, and it's not exactly the best insulated.
Yeah.
It's either too hot or too cold. The kitchen is freezing most of the time, but my room's hot enough. Like, can't complain.
That's good.
But I've got a question for you both. Have you both seen the new, just to wrap up, sort of get away from the COVID sort of side of it, have you seen the new drug policies?
What is this, a new renewed war on crime sort of thing?
War on drugs.
War on drugs.
Legalised drugs.
Yeah, the whole sort of Reagan style, the drugs.
Reagan, Nixon, Thatcher.
Reagan, yeah.
What a party that'll be, those three there crying out.
Have you seen that even first-time users might be put into rehabilitation?
That's ridiculous.
Punished? Yeah.
What drugs is that for? Is it
all
just
of them? All
Class
of them.
A?
No, it's weed, cocaine, and ketamine.
So
that's
three
ridiculous.
Most famous? No,
Not famous. Used drugs.
I don't know what the percentage of university students or just people in general, young people. I was sad to say young people because their lives are going to be affected the worst by it.
That I know of one of my friends at university who smoke weed.
Yeah,
I'm going to take a guess. You two know people who smoke weed.
I know people who do cocaine.
Jesus.
I know people who do
not
ketamine.
MPs, are they?
No, not MPs. They all do it.
Yeah.
But I know people who.
But it's not that big of it. If you want to do it, then you know you shouldn't be sent to rehab for doing it.
Especially if it's your first time.
I feel like we're going a bit off course to get. Sorry.
Well, it impacts
but it definitely impacts healthcare.
Interesting question about healthcare.
What about the North East? Like, what do we think?
Well, in the North East, will it impact us heavily? I mean,
probably. I reckon there's pretty high drug use
Newcastle,
in the North East.
Yeah, I mean,
it's there's deprived areas, and if you have deprived areas, then drug use goes up. If you want to decrease drug use, then you should probably
legalise it.
Yeah, you should legalise it, educate people about it properly.
Decriminalise.
So what's the difference between decriminalise and legalise?
Decriminalise stops people who use it getting arrested. It instead focuses all the funding into rehabilitation for addicts and sort of social programs.
Decriminalisation is legalisation everything but name, in theory.
Decriminalisation.
Not really, because I think it's about how
dealers,
you access the drugs as well.
And it stops with dealers from... Because if we legalise it, we'll get sort of a Colorado, sort of Canada, there'll be drugstores, and can't really imagine people going and just picking up an ounce of cocaine at...
Well, in Switzerland, you can go and get heroin from the government. If you're a heroin addict, you can go and get your fix at like 6 a.m. for free, and then you can, go and work you can just go to work then.
Don't they give you a space to do it? And
they give you a safe space. There was a lot of talk in America about providing safe spaces for drug users as well, because you just need to take a compassionate approach to these things.
Speaking from a very personal experience with drug users, like very close, decriminalising it doesn't help, doesn't solve the problem. If anything, look at Pablo Escobar. Making it harder to access these drugs just makes them smarter.
Yeah. And it puts the money in the wrong places. I'd rather... people pay money. If the government's selling, I'd rather the government get the money, then we can reinvest that money into public services.
You talked about drugs like being a sort of inequalities.
Yes.
I'd just like to finish off on a brief discussion about two key reports under Margaret Thatcher.
Yeah.
In 1980, you had the Black Report.
Yeah.
And in 1987, you had the Health Divide.
Yeah.
Now, these were both ignored by Thatcher, who was in power. Because very much, if you think of Thatcherism, Thatcherism is very much the belief that to drive forward these modernisation economic policies of Britain, there needs to be unemployed people, homeless people, people worse off, right? The Black Report, now this is, interesting in a sense. Social inequalities, so drug use, homelessness, poverty, insecure jobs, directly impact health.
Yeah.
So I'm just thinking of the North East.
Yeah.
I mean, the North East, we all know the North East's economically...
Not in the best space.
So any thoughts on sort of like this idea, that's like the economic conditions of the North East?
It just shows how all these issues intersect with healthcare.
There's a lot of homelessness, especially.
Yeah. And you can imagine the healthcare problems that are going around if you're, living on the streets, if you don't have, access to somewhere to bathe, somewhere to sleep. Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah. So any final thoughts on the healthcare system in the North East, or in general?
I'd just like to praise the NHS and say thank you, NHS.
Yeah, I think we need to keep a very close eye on what's going on with privatisation. I mean, a lot of the times it happens covertly. I mean,
the cleaners.
I think the key takeaway here is, much like transport, there's a clear discrepancy between the southeast, whatever you want to call it, and the northeast. I mean, if we just look at the cases again, I mean, obviously Northumberland, Newcastle, 385 cases per 100,000. London, 442.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see if the north is treated differently than the south due to this case difference.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if that's a huge difference in cases or if that's like no difference in cases. That's my final thought.
Yeah.
About how the north is healthcare, transport, presumably in housing. The northeast always seems to get the raw end of the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been a bit of a ranting and raving podcast, but it is what it is. If you don't like it, tough.
Yeah.
That's my final thoughts.
Is that everybody's?
Yeah, that's all good.
Yeah. So, thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching, everyone.
Like, comment,
Boris Johnson,
subscribe.
if you're listening.
Go fuck yourself.
Blood's off. Good timing.
Perfect.
Yeah, Boris, go and...
Sorry, I shouldn't... We have to be appreciative of all our listeners, even if you are Tories.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you're a Tory, don't subscribe.
Go fuck yourself as well. Sorry.
That wasn't bleeps. We'll edit back.
It's alright.
I just hate the Tories.
But if you're a Tory...
We can smarten this up in the edit.
Yeah, but if you're a Tory, please don't subscribe. Like, comment, get our engagement up.
Comment, subscribe, all that.
Don't subscribe.
I think we're really drawing this out now. I think we're better.
Yeah. So
there's only so much we can say about commenting and subscribing and having a go at Tories.
Yeah. So don't forget to share the video with your friends.
Oh yeah,
your
share
family.
it. Comment. Yeah. Tell us your experiences of healthcare and
tell us what the
COVID-19
NHS means to you in the comments below.
Yeah, that'd be wicked.
Yeah. So thank you for listening or
Thank
watching
you very
from
much.
YouTube.
Ciao.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Au revoir.
Bye.
Bye.
C'est la vie.